Good morning, everybody. How we doing, Sammy? United People's TV. I hope we're live and direct. I think we are. YouTube is telling me we are. Let's go over here. Let's click that. Let's pull this up here. I think we are indeed. Good morning, everyone. 31st of March. We're kicking off the end of March today. My brain's a bit frazzled. I've had a couple of days off. But we're here because... Should we restart? How we doing, everyone? Sam here, United People's TV. Welcome to another week here. We're kicking it off today by speaking about the FA Youth Cup semi-final that's coming up tonight. We're speaking about Forest, which is tomorrow, the first game in 16 days. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've actually played a bloody game of football. And I tell you what, it's been a nice break. I'm sure you've enjoyed it too. What a difference it makes when you go into an international break and United haven't got pumped. We won our last two games, 3-0 against Leicester, 4-1 against Sociedad, and now tomorrow night we play Forest. Not going to be an easy game. We'll preview that a little bit later in the show. I called it a bit of a transfer special conversation. We had a chat on Friday. David Ornstein sort of reaffirming United's transfer policy this summer. And now the conversations are around Matheus Cunha. We'll speak about him. We'll speak about Gyokeres. We'll speak about Rashford. Speak about Antony. Let's have a go. Let's see who's here from the mod and the member gang. I'm not even hungover. I swear on my life I'm not hungover. It's just that when you step away from this for a couple of days, that you don't realise that you have to be it's not a different version of yourself, but you have to be absolutely on form. Almost slightly exaggerated, but not in a bad way. Now, this is me. But yeah, you need to bring a certain version of yourself to do this sort of live show. Good morning, all. That was a pretty bad intro. Let's be totally honest. Who's here from the mods and the members? Ricardo and I be gifting a membership each to kick off the week. Isn't that beautiful? Let's see who else is here. We've got Josh. Good morning to you. Ant, you're there as well. Stephanie and Carl. Alex, you're there too, buddy. Lee Bickerton. We've got James Wilson. We've got Foxy. We've got Smee Volpez. We've got Chippy. We've got Zinny. Got some new names here. Scott Sinner. We've got Pearl. We've got JC and Terry. Good morning to all of you. Please do all get involved, as you always do. Pyro. Morning, Sam. How are you? Not sure if many people ask you this question. No, not many people do. I'm doing good. We've had a serious weekend. And yeah. Wah! Let's kick off the show. Honestly, I'm not even hungover. I really am not. That's the funny thing. I did have a good weekend, right? I tell you why I did have a good weekend. Yeah, I will, all right? I was teasing it on Friday, and I was like, should I tell him on Friday? I decided against it. But this weekend, ladies and gentlemen, for some reason, I've decided to get engaged again. All jokes aside. I have got engaged to the wonderful, to the beautiful Susie. I'm very lucky. I'm very happy. So everyone can say commiserations, congratulations to Susie in the comments. It depends what you want to do, all right? But that's what I've been building up towards. There's a lot going on with me right now. But it's just, I was planning all of that. I'm trying to sell this bloody flat in Crystal Palace with this nightmare tenant who's an absolute arsehole and has been a drain on my life. And at the same time, I'm trying to buy my first ever house. And all these three things are happening at the exact same time. So it's been quite a lot, all right? So all these things are going on. So it was nice to have a little bit of an international break. Big up to the chat. I am indeed a madman. She's more of a mad woman than a madman, I'll be totally honest. She's more mad than I am. Captain Statebaker saying you were around for the trophy parade. What a turnout. It's a shame other clubs have to belittle them. Hey, look, man. I don't belittle Newcastle whatsoever. It's their first trophy in like 70-odd years. Congratulations to them. But congratulations to me first. That's the best comment so far. Does Mila Kunis know? Neither does Ana de Armas either. I'll let them know. I'll go into the WhatsApp in a sec. I'll let them know. Lots and lots of comments. I'll show Suze the chat later on. 1 hour early today, says JavaScript. No, my friend. That is, what is it? Daylight savings time? I don't know what it's called. The clocks go forward an hour. In the UK for spring, they go back an hour. In the UK for winter. They've gone forward now, so now it's a bit brighter outside. Wait till the new stadium and find a way to have the wedding there. I couldn't think of anything worse than engagements or weddings at football stadiums. Some people do it though. No offense to them, but it's horrendous. Big up to both of you, Sean and Jonas, both gifting 10 memberships. All of you. That was a hell of an intro to the show here. Jeez, 5 minutes in and we haven't really started. But thank you to everybody in the chat. That was a big thing that was going on upstairs in my mind over these last few weeks. And now, fingers crossed, this week, hopefully completing on a house. And then I've got to somehow correct the absolute bomb site that is my flat. Once we've got these two things out of the way, man, we're going to have a lot more space upstairs to do a lot more top quality stuff here on United People's TV. Right? Big up to all of you. Now, let's kick off today's show by speaking about tonight's FA Youth Cup semi-final against Aston Villa. I'm really quite annoyed because, again, if I had a little bit more mental space, I probably would have gone to this game. I would have tried to get some press access. Ideally, would have gone into the press box to watch this game, and I think it would have been a fantastic game. We're playing Aston Villa at Villa Park, an FA Cup semi-final at Villa Park. Of course, it's the Youth Cup, not the actual FA Cup, but it's a big game. This is the competition that eluded the under-18s last season. They won the under-18s Premier League North, the under-18s Premier League National when they beat Chelsea, who were the Southern champions. And they also won the under-18s Premier League Cup. But the FA Youth Cup, they missed out on it last season. And now they're in the semi-final. If they win, they're going to face City or Watford in the final. And Volpes, of course, I've got permission. Come on. I know the rules. I know the rules these days. Who's that? Is that Tony? Tony, big up to you, dude. Gifting 5 memberships. So everyone's coming in strong this morning. It's almost like we're celebrating here. But the FA Youth Cup, we won it a few years ago. And, of course, there'll be some faces that you remember from that team there. A couple of faces who are in and around our first team. Kobe Mainu and Alejandro Garnacho, both part of that FA Youth Cup winning squad. It was at Old Trafford, and the final again is at Old Trafford. Is that just coincidence? Anybody know in the comments whether that's coincidence or not? Is the FA Youth Cup final always at Old Trafford, or is it just so happens to be that it's at Old Trafford again this year? I don't know. I actually don't know that off the top of my head. But if you haven't watched it already, I'm going to share a link with you here, right? This is a little 9-minute video on the official United channel. And it's basically like the road to the final. To go and have a watch of that video, you'll hear from Jaden Camerson, Bendito Mantato, Adam Lawrence, a little bit from Chido Obi. Just the pathway that the players have had, of course, with the quarterfinal against Arsenal and that win that they had at the Emirates. It was a big game there. And I'm just looking forward to it tonight. I think it's going to be... It won't be an easy game. And I tell you what I suppose I'm quite concerned about is simply just due to timing. The first team plays on Tuesday. And if you're looking at some of those youth team players, you're probably looking at Harry Amas and Chido Obi as the two players who could be involved with the first team squad. But will they play tonight? Or will they just be kept aside to be in the first team squad? That will be a real shame for the under-18s because they are two very important players for them. But yeah, don't think Chido was involved at all in the game against Arsenal at the Emirates. So we'll see. All right. But if you can, tune into the game tonight. I think Harry Amas will play. I'm not sure about Chido Obi. I'll be totally honest. We'll find out. What are we saying down here in the comments? Should be at Wembley, says Joe. I think Wembley would be too big a stadium. Being totally honest, would be too big a stadium for the FA Youth Cup final. I can't remember how much Old Trafford. I think Old Trafford. Did they close the top tier in Old Trafford when we played there last time? I can't quite remember. But yeah, 90,000 would be a little bit too big, I think. Yeah, he was on Talking to Devils as well. I need to listen to that podcast today. Should be a good one. Now, speaking about one player who will be involved tonight and somebody who we've spoken about on this channel is Bendito Mantato. Finn, who's Academy Scoop, was revealing some exclusive news last week that he is set to sign his first professional contract. And that's good news. because anybody who watched that video we did, what was it, last week, week before? Mantato is the player who I think from within our academy fits that right wing back. And it's not just a case of, oh, United is skint. Let's just look inside the academy to see if somebody who might be able to fit, sorry, let's just put him in there just so we don't have to spend any money. This is somebody who, if you look at Kenda and you look at the profile and the characteristics of Kenda, Mantato shares a lot of them. So he actually is quite a good fit for that role. Whether or not he does play there, whether or not we sign a right wing back, or maybe we play Ahmad there, we don't know. This is definitely a player to watch between now and the end of the season. So if you can watch the game tonight and see how he plays, he'll probably start as the winger. I think you might get Camerson playing as the right back, and Kenda as Mantato. What? As the right winger, because the youth teams don't really use a 3 at the back system. If you can, watch it tonight. Chippy, you're saying you were there. Garnacho was really good. If I remember, Garnacho came off the bench and scored twice in that final, didn't he? But anyway, this is something that Adam Lawrence said about Mantato. He said that Mantato's a good example. He's played a lot as a winger for the under-18s and is in a wide position, but has always had those characteristics and qualities where he can be flexible and adaptable in his positions, and he could be a wing-back. You might be looking at the wing-back for United, the right wing-back for United next season. Maybe, maybe not. We'll find out. But just to finish, one more comment on the youth team before we go and we start speaking about Gyokeres, we'll speak about Cunha and the news that probably a lot of you want to talk about. These academy teams that we've got right now, and it's not an exaggeration. I know, John, it should be on MUTV. I don't know where else it's on. These youth teams that we have got right now are the best that we have had in some time. Now, this isn't like a class of 92 coming through. You're not going to get like Beckham and Giggs and Scholes and Button. You're not going to get like 5, 6 ready-made first-team footballers that all come through in the same year and they all come through together. And I don't think that will ever happen again in football, really. You could was it Barcelona where who came through there? Was it Messi, Xavi, Iniesta, and Busquets all came from their academy at the same time? I think it was. I can't remember exactly. But I'm not saying that will happen. But United's crop that we have now, whether you look at, well, Chido's a little bit different because we brought him in, but still it's part of our youth team setup now. Whether you look at Jack Fletcher in midfield or Kakonki at centre-back or even Monroe at centre-back or even Dan Armour as another centre-back or even if you go into Jim Thwaites in midfield or Mantato as one of the wingers or maybe as a wing-back or Camerson as one of the wing-backs or Amas on the left-hand side or Bianchetti up front instead of Obi. There's just so many really good level youth players. Whether that translates into first-team football, we'll find out. But it's exciting. So if you can, so people are telling me down there that it's on the FA Cup channel as well. Is it? Let's have a look. FA Cup. FA Cup channel. The Emirates FA Cup. They got a little thing. There you go. Boom. Right, I'll share the link. Thank you very much for sharing that, peeps. It's on YouTube. Right. Live. Aston Villa versus United, semi-final of the FA Youth Cup. Here is the link. Save that link. You can watch it for there for free later. Good, that's nice, man. They should be doing stuff like that. They should be not getting as many eyeballs on it as possible, but given in fact, it's exactly that. Giving some exposure to that level of football. Cracking. I'll be watching that game tonight. Right, let's move on to talk about transfers. Free on YouTube, that's good. Big up YouTube. What a place. Now, let's speak about transfers, both in terms of players leaving and both in terms of players being signed. Now, I did a video on Friday. I spoke about United's transfer policy, Ornstein reaffirming it. And that's going to be the caveat before we go into this conversation. But let's speak about players who are going to be leaving, right? Rashford scored 2 against Preston yesterday. His first 2 goals for Villa. It was a good first goal. Just stroked it in. Second goal, you see the penalties. Proper no-look penalty. Really good technique, actually. Fair play to him. 2 good goals. I've said this many, many a time. And to be fair, I didn't see too much of it on my timeline yesterday, which I'm happy about. Like, it doesn't matter how good Rashford does at Villa. I know, in my heart of hearts, as a United fan, that we were never going to see that again from Rashford. Certainly not this season. Never in a million years. He had so checked out of playing for United. And the best thing for United is Rashford enjoying a good loan spell at Villa, which he is. What they... Is it Villa against PSG next? Is that their Champions League game? I think it is. That'll be interesting. Obviously, Rashford's got a history against PSG. I reckon PSG must hate Rashford. Anyway, good for him. And good for United. The thing that really annoys me, and it annoyed me at the time, was the fact that we included a buy clause of 40 million for Villa, which was just under his value. We knew that. Sure, at that time, could you have possibly seen any club buying Rashford for £40 million? No, probably not. But you knew full well, as soon as he had a couple of months of actually playing football again, scoring some goals, getting some more exposure, 40 million would be below his value. Now, this may well just be kind of what we've been asking United to do with players. And let me explain what I mean, right? Sancho and Rashford, 2 things that you're kind of a bit annoyed about as a fan. Number one, with Sancho, right? Chelsea have got that get-out clause where they pay £5 million and then they don't have to sign him on an obligation. That just strikes me as annoying. Really, really annoying. And I said embarrassing for the club. But is that, or was that, the only way that United could find a club for Sancho? So instead of just holding on to Sancho, and because no one's willing to pay what we want them to pay, we just hold on to a player. And he just stays and he just kind of rots away in the shadows. Doesn't do anything. Or do we let him go to Chelsea and let them have that £5 million fee that they could pay if they don't want to pay the obligation? That's the only way to just move him on. And with Rashford and Villa was the only way to find a club for Rashford to include a buy clause, which is probably less than what he's worth. Maybe. Now, that's speculation, so I can't know whether that's true or not. But I'll tell you one thing that will be interesting here, and you've actually mentioned it a little bit earlier. I just don't see... look, things can change if Rashford really feels like he's happy at Villa and whatever happens. But Marcus Rashford did not leave Manchester United to join Aston Villa. That was not his ambition. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to Villa at all. I really, really don't. Rashford wanted Barcelona. It was so abundantly clear and obvious. He went around everywhere and you're like, oh God, who is it? AC Milan? Who was it? AC Milan, Juve, Monaco, Barca. I can't remember how many other conversations his brother had. But there's no way that Barcelona need Rashford. At all. Look at that. Look at that stat. 20 times this season, Barca have scored 4 or more goals in a game. They're currently top of La Liga. They're flying under Flick. And if there's one thing they don't need, it's goal scorers. They are scoring goals in abundance. And I definitely could see Rashford not turning his back on Villa. But I very much doubt that Rashford thought that if he ever left United, it would be Villa that he would go to. He wants to go to someone like Barcelona, someone like Real Madrid, someone like maybe Inter Milan. I don't really know. Although it's going to be interesting. It's one to watch, but it's good at least that he's scoring goals. Alex saying if he rejects the deal from Villa, then what? United sell him to someone else on higher terms? I don't know. I don't know. Jonathan, you're saying this is a more pivotal summer than ever given our financial situation. We could miss out on big players like Osimhen, Sesko, Ekitike, and Gyokeres, so we need to shop smarter than ever. Yeah, I've already spoken about that, and we'll speak about buying players in a second, because I just want to speak about Antony. And Antony left at Real Betis with the spotlight that's nowhere near as severe as United. He's enjoyed himself. So much more space on the ball, so much more time on the ball, so much more freedom on the ball. And he's been a significantly better player. Now, yesterday, Real Betis beat Sevilla in the local derby, and he's there. I don't know whose shoulders he is. What's the name of that goalkeeper? Can't remember. Either way, they quite like him there. Isco saying we now need to start a crowdfunding to bring Antony in. And do you remember that story that came out? Was it last week? I think it was last week. That what was it? Brain fart. There's no point having a conversation about that Daily Star story about Bruno Fernandes and Real Madrid. Like, you kidding me? That's what I mean, people. Choose what you want to report. If there's guff, just ignore the guff. It'll make your life a lot easier. You don't have to get caught up in transfer bullshit. You can get caught up in it if you want, but you won't get it on this channel. All right? I won't give spotlight to that sort of crap. Anyway, Antony. Oh, is it Antony's agent was changed? Yeah, about United. Either way, this was it. It was the idea that. See, I knew I'd get there in the end. It was the idea that Real Betis would love to sign Antony on loan again for the whole of next season. And it's laughable. There's try before you buy and getting him on loan for half a season, right? Okay, you've taken a little bit of a gamble there because the player's not working out at United. Will he work out at your club? Oh, it does. Great. Fantastic. But then to try and put an extra 12 months loan on the end of that, no, sod that. You pay the money. Pay up, or we find another club for Antony. And the better he plays there, the more likely it is that we find a club for him. I mean, this is a dream scenario that United get 30 million for Antony. It really is. I don't particularly think we will. I think it'll be somewhere in the 20 to 30 million mark, and that's probably with add-ons as well. But the better he plays there, the more likely it is that United won't just be lumbered with a player that we can't get rid of. And that is going to define whether this summer is a success or not. I honestly am probably going to put it more to do with that than to do with player signings. And we'll speak about Cunha now, right? But whether or not United can make this summer what it needs to be means finding new clubs for Rashford, Sancho, Casemiro, and Antony at an absolute minimum. And then you have conversations maybe about Shaw and maybe about other players too. But let's speak about signings. And I spoke about Gyokeres on Friday. We'll have a little bit of an update here. But it seems there's a lot of United fans talking about Cunha. Now, I'm going to put it down here as a poll, right? Do you think United sign Cunha? Yes or no? Simple poll. Someone down there saying, what exactly was the problem of Antony at United? Because he left, but why exactly? Antony was just simply not good enough. He did not impact games anywhere near enough. That was the issue. He was nowhere. Every time you compared Antony and Ahmad in terms of the directness of any situation where they were in that right wing position, Antony would try and shift past someone but couldn't and passed it back. And it just repeated. It just never changed. Any shots going wide. He wasn't able to impact games in the way that he needed to. And especially in comparison to Ahmad. And United just had better options at every time. Let's speak about Cunha, right? Because he's been speaking this weekend. Now, this is a transfer request, all right? It might not say, I want to leave Wolves. Here is my transfer request. But it is. I've made it clear I need to take the next step. I want to fight for titles. I want to leave Wolves. He is leaving Wolves. Where he goes, let's find out. But we know how much he's going to cost. And it's from the BBC, by the way. Wolves forward Cunha has a release clause in his contract, and it is now known to be valued at around £62.5 million. This is, in my opinion, I think this is too much for what United are going to have. But I think if I was to do a poll of 1,000 United fans, if I was to do a poll with the United People's TV community, now I can only guess on this one because I haven't done the poll yet, but I think with all the mistakes that we've made in transfer windows and all the players that we've signed, I think there'd be a lot of United fans who would love us to be able to sign some Premier League proven players to remove that risk of they can't adapt to the Premier League. Because we tried it with so many different players, haven't we? And rarely have we gone to the Premier League to sign players. And of course, that comes at a premium, like this. He turns 26, I think, in May. And 60 minutes, you're looking at the same sort of conversations that you are with Gyokeres or someone else. At that price, at that age, there is zero room for manoeuvre with Cunha. He simply has to be a success. And I believe we paid 52 million for Euro, which I think rises. I don't know what it rises to. I think it was 52 up front. Let's have a quick look. Man United, sign Euro. There you go. United signed Euro in a deal worth 52 million with 8 million in add-ons. So rising to 59 million depending on what he does. So presumably, if United win the league, he makes X amount of appearances. Don't quite know. Let me see what you're saying down here in the comments. Franza, you're saying that we need Premier League proven players. JavaScript saying 20 mil for Cunha, take it or leave it. Well, I'll tell you what I did, or leave it. We will not sign Cunha, says Jamie. We'll look at the poll. 400 votes are in. Big up to everyone. 60% of you are saying no and 40% are saying yes. Premier League proven players never guarantee anything. Grealish. I mean, they do largely. And Premier League players remove that, will he adapt to the Premier League? Will he adapt to Manchester United? And the spotlight of United is a different conversation altogether. But being suited to the Premier League is something that people have questioned about a lot of our transfers. And you definitely want him, saying ability, versatility, fight. And that's one thing he's definitely got. He's a little bit of a hothead, really, isn't he? He's a little bit of a scrapper. That's one way to describe it. What are we saying down here? Offer less than Senchido on loan the other way. I'd take him if we got the Champions League. Yeah. My personal prediction is... Sorry, one sec. I don't think we will sign Cunha. If I look at these inside forward positions, I look at Cunha and I go, yep. I'm not really sure there's any part of his game. You could say maybe he's a little bit too hot-headed. I look at Cunha and I see someone in the same category, as Joe Linton and Morgan Rogers. That style of player, I think, is where Cunha falls in for me. Somebody who absolutely is a ball carrier, but is an absolute unit, can't be pushed off the ball, is winning all of his duels, can carry the ball, has a goal threat, and also has a relentless ethic out of possession. And that's why those three. Like, I'm guessing Morgan Rogers would... Do you think Morgan Rogers would be more than Cunha? Because I think he absolutely would be. I think if you're saying that Cunha's got a 60 million release clause, how much do you think Morgan Rogers would cost? Out of the two, I would choose Morgan Rogers. Age, longevity. Mainly the age thing, I suppose, actually. But I think he would be like 70, 80. Yeah, Nishan, I'm not saying that Premier League players are guaranteed to succeed in United. People coming down there with Maguire. That's mainly around the price that we pay for him, because the expectation of Maguire paying 80 mil was that he was going to be our Van Dijk immediately. Yeah, Wolves did pay a big price for him. 44 million. Is it 44 million they paid him for? Paid for him? A lot. Yeah, everyone's saying down there. Yeah, Rodgers would be a lot. I don't even think United will go after Rodgers this summer. I just think it would be. Yeah, you could talk about Morehouse, Jack Morehouse. Look, United can't just look to the academy saying, okay, so we need, let's bring Jack Morehouse through. Okay, so we need United. Okay, right, let's bring Benedetto Mantato through. And every single position gets filled with an academy player. That position there, I would love someone with I don't know, that blend. A bit more experience than an academy player is what I think we need in those inside forward roles. That's what I think. Anyway, Cunha, he wants to leave. That's a transfer request. I don't think it reduces his value or diminishes Wolves's diminishes his it doesn't diminish the negotiation ability of Wolves because they've got a release clause. So it doesn't really matter whether he comes out and says he wants to leave, as he has done there, because the release clause stays the exact same. But that's a bit much. I don't think we'll sign him for that reason. And going down here, look at the poll. 600 votes are in and 60% of you are saying no. Jonathan, you'd rather spend 70 mil on Xavi Simons? No. No. That's my answer to that one. 70 million on Xavi Simons. Where did they come up with that number? Seriously. Yeah, it's Lopez. I think I do need to go back to bed. My brain is not functioning properly today. Let's speak about this lad. All right? We had a conversation about Gyokeres on Friday, so this doesn't need to be anything more than just a quick chat. But just an update on why Victor Gyokeres is being spoken about again. And it's because David Ornstein has come out and said this. Said Arsenal developing a strong interest in signing Victor Gyokeres. Andrea Berta, a firm admirer, expects to figure prominently among Arsenal's options and maybe more realistic than Isaac, which I think is obvious because Isaac is going to be... If Isaac leaves Newcastle this season, how much do you think he would go for? Honestly? 90 mil? I genuinely think 90 mil. The season that he has had, the fact that Newcastle have won their first trophy in, 700 years, the fact that we paid 72 mil for Højlund from Serie A, who is completely unproven. Yeah, I don't think he goes for 80 mil. I just don't think it happens. I think they would push for like 100 mil, if I'm being totally honest. I think it's minimum 90. I think probably closer towards 100. And I don't think that... I say that's not outrageous. That is outrageous to spend that much money on a player. But in the context of other signings and how much people are paying for players, I think you're looking at 90 to 100 mil. That's what I would be demanding if I was Newcastle. Anyway, Victor Gyokeres. I've said this before and I'll say it again. I think when it comes to Gyokeres and comes to United, I think the only way that we have a chance is if we get into the Champions League. Now, Fabrizio Romano has interestingly revealed this about Gyokeres and his release clause and sort of conversations he's having with Sporting. Let me turn that up.
Pact for the
third time lucky.
Exit of Victor Gyokeres this summer is for the player to leave for less than the release clause. So for something around 65, 70 million euros with the dons as part of the package, Gyokeres could leave Sporting this summer. And
is that with add-ons? You know, like when you try and buy something, and it always pisses me off when I do that. When you try and buy something and then it doesn't include the VAT at the checkout, and it does right at the end, you're like, you cheeky little... So is that 65 to 70 million euros with add-ons on top? Because he didn't say including add-ons. No idea, but I just can't see United doing it. I just can't see United doing it. And I agree with you. I think he's going Liverpool or Arsenal. I just can't see United. I'm putting Cunha in this category as well. I might even just go out and do a lunchtime video on this today. I just can't see United spending that much. And it's the ages of the players. It's the ages. I can't see us spending 60 mil plus-ish on a 26... He's about to turn 26? Yeah. On a 26-year-old player. Because it has to work with them. There is no room for error. No room for a player not to work out at that price. And we can't take that risk anymore because we've done this so many times. Sam, if you hate advertised prices without taxes, don't live in the USA. Well, I'm not going to live in the USA anyway. It always annoys me, man. Always annoys me. And I just can't see us signing Gyokeres for the same sort of reason. It just doesn't match up with that clear strategy that we have. But at the same time, that strategy will be bent slightly for the right experienced player. But to bend it for an experienced player who is also your most expensive signing, I just don't think that is a risk which our finances can deal with. It might work out, but if it doesn't, we can't afford it. We simply can't afford it. Someone down there saying, I want to say it was like when we bought in Van Persie, but it just really wasn't. It really, really wasn't, man. And even Liam Delap, I know Liam Delap, from a profile perspective, ticks probably more boxes for what Ineos want to do in terms of a sustainable transfer strategy. Because if it doesn't work out with Liam Delap, you're more likely to be able to recoup what you paid for him. But even Liam Delap is going to cost 40, 50 mil? Don't know. You know what we need? And this is easier said than done, right? If you're Chris Favell, you're being tasked, like Omar Barada's coming to you and saying, look, don't come to me and tell me that we can sign Victor Gyokeres and he would be a perfect solution for our strikers. Because I don't really need you to tell me that. I could tell you that. What I need you to do is find me Gyokeres at Coventry style signing. Find me a player who's like Gyokeres, who is at that stage below. Because had United, probably wouldn't have worked out because, our squad wasn't particularly good anyway. Had United signed Gyokeres from Coventry instead of him going to Sporting, would he have had the same trajectory? Probably not, because he wouldn't have had Amorim. He wouldn't have had the stability. But that's what we need to do this summer. We need to find players like Gyokeres before they've gone to Sporting. We need to find a player like Cunha, because there will be, I'm telling you, Cunha's not like a unicorn football player, man. Where's his picture gone? It's not as if there's one Matheus Cunha in the world. Oh, you can't possibly sign. Find me a player like Cunha, even before he went to Atletico, or maybe kind of around about that time. That's what we need to do. You can use these top-level players who are existing in the market, the ones that got big visibility, your Osimhens and your Gyokeres and your Cunhas and all these players, and you go, yeah, cool, they're great, but find me that player who no one's really speaking about. Find me that player, maybe just a tier down, maybe in the French league, maybe, I don't know, somewhere else. Doesn't really matter where it is, Championship, I don't really care. Find me that player who's got the potential, because I back this coach in Ruben Amorim, to be able to make that potential shine. In the same way that Gyokeres went to Sporting and shone under him. That's what we need. Easier said than done, right? I'm very aware of that. Oh, yeah, Sam, if it was that simple, every club would do it. Well, that's why United scouts have never really been the problem. I think I've said that for quite a while. I think, I'm sure United could do with improving the scouts or, improving everything. But the problem that we've had is who's been in charge of the data that the scouts provide. And that's where Chris Favell, we've actually got our first ever director of football, our first ever director of recruitment, who's actually in charge of that data now. Might do my lunchtime video on all of that. I think it's probably worthy of a conversation which doesn't involve the live chat because it's a little bit more focused. Whilst you're at it, says John, find me a Musiala as well. Yeah, that'll be nice. Jonathan David, of course, will be a conversation. And given that United missed out on Gyokeres for 17 million to Dortmund. We missed out on Marcus Thuram to Inter Milan for free. I think, well, that's always a problem that you're going to have with Jonathan David or any free signing that you make. The signing on bonus. Like, Real Madrid are probably going to pay how much to Trent? I don't know how much. I'm guessing they're going to pay, like, Trent 30 mil as a signing on bonus. I don't think United will do that. Wayne, thank you very much for the congratulations. I'll send all these messages to Suze. Let's speak about the game tomorrow. All right, last 10 minutes of the show. Let's speak about the game. Forest played 120 minutes this weekend in the FA Cup. They won on penalties, sure. But that's a good thing. All right? And they've only got 3 days. I think Forest, sometimes you can look at the fixtures and you can get really pissed off as a United fan because there's not enough time between. They played on Saturday, played 120 minutes, and they're playing on Tuesday. So there's only 3 days between the games. Who did they play in that game? So look, Forest. Was it their first 11? Yep. Danilo, Gibbs, White, Milinkovic, Murillo, Nico Williams. Yep, it's quite a lot of their first team. Some players on the bench, I think. Hudson-Odoi, no, Elanga. Either way, it's a good thing, right? Java, she is indeed a football fan. She's a United fan because of me. These are the rules. Let's run through some good news that we got from the training that happened on Friday. You got Lenny Yoro, who's back in training. Don't know whether he'll be fit or not because we don't actually know. Was there any confirmation on why he went off against Arsenal? You know, when Heaven made his debut. Yeah, Wood didn't play. It was a slightly changed team, but some of their first team was involved. I don't actually know why Yoro was injured. Either way, fingers crossed he's going to be fit and available. He's in my starting 11. Let's find out. Someone's saying that Wood was injured. Mate, if Wood was injured, I don't think Aiden Heaven's going to be back. Not involved in this. Harry Maguire's back and available, presumably. He's been missing, again, I don't know since when, but just like with any injury United have had this season, we've been pretty cautious. Any player who's got a slight niggle, they got left out. Ugarte or Maguire. Any player who's had a serious injury, like Mainu or Shaw or Mount or Yoro, they've been eased back in. So let's find out what happens with Maguire. Luke Shaw. Honestly, it's almost like I don't think United should risk playing Luke Shaw this season. I don't really feel that United will be able to find a club for Luke Shaw next season where they pay for it. I think they're going to have to loan Luke Shaw out for a season with an obligation. That if he plays X amount of... That's what it'll be. You can have Luke Shaw on loan for the full season, paying all his wages. Well, good luck. And if he plays X amount of games for you, or he plays X% of games, then you're obliged to sign him. To sign him. So I pretty much think that's going to be a best case scenario we can get down there. Maguire is back and can play. Yeah, of course he could. I like Luke Shaw. Protect him. Sell him. Move him on. Shake his hand. It's such a shame that you've had such bad problems with your physicality at United, but we cannot afford to give you any more opportunities. You have had your opportunities. Good luck elsewhere. I really hope that you find your fitness and you can actually enjoy maybe the last few years of your career at the top level, but it won't be in a Manchester United shirt. All right? Thank you. Goodbye. Move on. Oh, no. Binder's back. We'll find out. Whether he's going to start. Don't think he will. We'll find out. Tom Heaton. Rasmus. Don't really need to look through all of these. What's your prediction for the game tomorrow? We'll run through my starting 11 tomorrow. We'll save that for tomorrow's show. Yeah, it does look like Luke Shaw's lost a little bit of timber. Find out. What are we saying down here? Shaw can't go because he's injured almost the whole season. Why would anyone pay money for him? It's exactly what I said there. Well, you're going to have to get him on loan, ideally with an obligation. And I think the obligation only kicks in after he's played X amount of games for your club. Takeoff and Alex, you're both saying, well, it's actually 4. The first 4 predictions are all 1-1, which I believe was my prediction, but I can't actually remember it now. United edge it 2-1, says Stephanie. And I don't think we sell Mount. I think simply because of the book value of Mason Mount. I don't think that we would be able to get enough money for him. Public. You got Raw saying, will someone take a flyer on Shaw or will United have to buy out his contract in the end? That's going to be a serious, just a red mark on the accounts if United were to ever do that. And I don't think that United ever would, if I'm being totally honest, buy out contracts. That's like burning money. They're very good at that, to be fair. What am I saying down here? Some more predictions. JC, you're going 3-1 as well. Adam, you're saying 3-1. So's MUFC Forever and Brian both saying 3-1. 4-0, you know. Bruno hat-trick. Oh, come on, Bruno. Come on, Bruno. Now, Jonathan, if you're Luke Shaw, you're going to run your contract down, aren't you? You're going to do what's best for you. Not what's best for the club. And that's the truth. In that situation, I would do it too. You would do it too. Every single other human being really would do it. Let's be totally honest. You might say, I wouldn't do it. You would. I think you would. My prediction, I believe, was 1-0. But there seems to be some confident United fans here. Look, Forest have had a cracking season so far. I like to think they're going to have a little bit of fatigue after that game against Brighton. I think they probably will. Let's find out whether Chris Wood's going to be fit. Elanga will probably come back into the 11. Who's going to play at wing-backs for us? Hopefully it should be Dorgu. Dorgu against Elanga would be a good matchup. That'll be a good thing to watch in the game. But look, that was that was an awful start to the show, but we got there in the end. Thank you all, every single one of you, for all your congratulations messages. It's been a big thing that I've been planning and preparing and doing for a long, long time. And now I've got it done. I was actually going to do it about 6 months ago when moved into the house that we were supposed to buy. And then the whole thing collapsed. And then the second house that we were supposed to buy completely and utterly stalled. And now the third house that we were supposed to buy. I've had a rough time of it, man. Really a frustrating year. A lot of frustration this last year for me personally. I have to admit that. But fingers crossed we're coming through. And now, April. We already ran through the fixtures there. We got some tough games. Actually, no, I didn't. I did it in the podcast this morning. Got some tough games. My prediction for tonight, that's a good one. I'm going to go for a 3-1. I'm going to go for a 3-1 game for United and to get to that final at Old Trafford. And I'd love to go to that game. How did I propose? Where did I go? I might tell you later this week, if you're lucky. I did get it. It's over. I'm not saying it's over the line. I finally got over the line. Great. The idea of getting the house over the line, that's something that we want to do this week. But fingers crossed, we'll find out. Finally got it done. It's probably not the right way to describe it. All right. I'm leaving now before I say anything else I shouldn't. I'm very good at that. Take it easy, everyone.